Okay, so what I'd like to talk about today is a question I've been asked by people, not on here, but in family, friends, things, things like that. Is how do I start my own art studio? I've got a few friends out here that they really love to draw, and they're wanting to get into painting, but they had this idea that you had to have uh, a lot of money and a lot of space to be able to do your own art studio. And that's just not the case. The first thing you got to start off with, let's talk about space. Now, you've seen my studio here. I mean, I've got a 1.5 detached car garage that I've turned into an art studio. And I'm very fortunate to have such a large space that I can utilize for that. Not everybody has that ability. When I started off, I didn't have that ability. So, what does it take to start? It just takes whatever space you have available, whether it's a garage like this, a room like you have an extra bedroom or a utility room that you're not using. It could be the corner of a room. It doesn't have to be the entire room. If you have limited space and you just got one little corner that you can, put your camera facing and you've got your whatever media you're working with, if it's a like me painting, if you got the easel there and you got your tables for your paints, you can utilize that corner and that can be your studio. Your kitchen table can be your studio. It doesn't take anything to get started. I started by utilizing my chair in the living room, a small easel, and one of those folding food trays. And that's where I used to handle my paints. Of course, it was in the house, so I didn't use my oil paints because I didn't want to bring in the thinners and stuff. But I used acrylic paints. So, but to hold the clean water and the cleaning water and the paints, that folding table was more than enough. So, I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot of space to get started, and so it shouldn't hold you back from doing that. You can start a channel like this, even with just that little bit. It doesn't take a production to get started, or to get started with your art. If you're just starting out, a small easel. It's like, let's see, one of the first easels I started with fits on top of a table. It just holds smaller canvases, but it held enough to where when I was doing my stuff, it was right there. It was easy. Uh, and I've been at this for quite a few years, so I've accumulated a lot of stuff. You don't have to have a lot of stuff to start. You don't have to sink tons of money into it to get started. If you're brand new to painting, I don't suggest that you run out and grab professional grade oil paints or professional grade acrylic paints. Start off with the cheaper. It's not going to have as much pigment in it. I mean, that's the only difference is the amount of pigment that's in there and how fast they dry as far as acrylics go. Oils, it's how much pigment is in the paint, uh, and how vibrant you want the colors. If you're just starting off and you're just learning techniques, start off with the student grade. I mean, you can pick those up in mass quantities at Hobby Lobby or any other art supply store. So, and brushes, uh, I've got tons of brushes. This is just a couple containers full of different kinds of brushes, from long handles, short handles, broad points, fine points. blenders. I've accumulated a lot over the years. But you can go down to any of those art supply stores and pick up a small multi-pack of brushes that'll have different size brushes, different style brushes. And you might spend 15, 20 bucks to get that. And if you catch it on sale, you can get it really cheap. And don't start off with the most expensive canvases that you can find. Uh, you don't want to go to a professional grade canvas unless you are putting out professional grade stuff or something that you absolutely want the best quality stuff for. I'm not saying you can't start with them. I'm just saying that you should probably work your way up into it. So you can get, you can get these little bundle packs at like Hobby Lobby. You know, these are just simple 11 by 14s, but you can pick up, a bunch of these. It's going to cost you about 15 bucks. That will give you a lot of surface to practice on and to uh, upgrade your skills on, try new things. I still do that. If there's a process that I'm trying to develop, I'm not going to do it on the painting that I want to sell. I'm going to recreate that on the smaller canvas, and then I'm going to try it out. If it gives me the effect I want, then I'll utilize it in a painting that I'm looking for someone to buy. Okay? So I don't try it for the first time on a finished painting, or else you're going to be doing a lot of cover up, and you may get uh, dissuade in what you think your skills are. Things take time, things take chances. You got to try it before you utilize it. Okay, I mean it's a simple learning process that you do like with everything. So what other things you might want if you're starting up a new studio is like an easel. So I've got these easels here. Let me get you in the right direction here. Get this down here, and then we'll oops, zoom out. Okay. Now this easel here, you can pick up online. You can pick up at the hobby stores, but it's just a metal easel. It does have an extension that goes on top. Uh, would help if I grab the right one. And they just slide right down in there, so you can do a canvas even the size of the one of the line I'm doing back here on here. I mean, it's awkward, but it is very doable. I've done some very large paintings on these canvases, and this cost me about 50 bucks. Okay, I caught it on sale. Uh, don't know if it was a Hobby Lobby or if it was Dick Blick's online that I bought it from, but they work really well. So for a couple $100, you can you can have your own little workstation, and if you're up to level where you want to start broadcasting and start recording some of the stuff that you're doing so that you can upload it to, YouTube, Rumble, think live on Facebook or TikTok, however you want to do it. You could probably get all that up and started, as cheap as a couple $100s. That's not including your camera that you're using, but you could use your cell phone. I went out and bought this camera that I utilize now. This is an 8K camera, and I caught it at a really good deal for $200. But if you already got a cell phone, you've already got your camera. You can set that up, you can record yourself on that, and you can get started that way. Just make sure that you have everything that you're wanting to do planned out in advance before you start doing your online creations. What else would you need in a studio? If you're using oil-based paints, you got to have the solvent to clean up the oil-based paints. You got to have plenty of rags to do that. You got to have all those little bitty pieces ahead of time. You can research it online and you can get a full list of everything that you could possibly need. It'll probably give you about 20 or 30 that you really don't need, but you can disseminate between what it is that you want and what you want to do. Now, if you're doing a drawing studio, it's even easier. Uh, you do have to have a place to store the board that you're going to draw on, or the paper stock you're going to draw on. You have to buy yourself a good supply of some different hardness of pencils. Uh, get yourself a good quality pencil sharpener. You have to get your blenders. You have to get your erasers. You have to get other things that you need to get started with. Now, here's one that I started with to help get my paintings onto my surfaces. Let me get this out since I wasn't prepared in advance. This little handy job right here. This is an overhead projector. And simply down here, this open spot. If you're sitting on a table and you put your photograph up underneath here, and you turn it on, it's going to project that photograph up onto the surface that you're after. You can adjust it to focus it in. It's pretty simple to adjust. Once you get a clear picture of the size that you want, you can utilize that to do your main SketchUp of what you're looking to do. You don't go into detail. You just make say if it's a dog, you just do the major outside line of the dog where the nose, eyes, and mouth are. And then you can go, that'll keep your proportions in right. And then you can go into your sketching after that point, not needing this anymore. But this does help keep your proportions in. I don't remember exactly what I paid for this, but I think it was like $20. It wasn't much. Nowadays, I use an overhead projector, the kind that I can also utilize when the grandkids are in. If I wanted to play a movie outside, I can hook it up, uh, outside and project an entire movie on the side of my building. But these work really well. The overhead projectors actually work along with your computer, and you can, whatever picture you put up on your computer, you can get it to push up onto your canvas. That's what I utilized in The King Returns, but it was just different photographs of different things, and I put it kind of where I wanted it and then tweaked it along the way. And you're going to need storage. And I do mean storage. Like I said, I've accumulated a lot of stuff over the years. So, I've got all kinds of stuff stored in like this cabinet, in this old chest of drawers over here, which the one I talked about in an earlier video, I need to repair and paint. But yeah, my water cooler. But you can create your own storage spaces. Okay, let me zoom out here and get back a little bit. As you can see, this media center here, this is on wheels. It has a cabinet that I've mounted to it. That's what one of my monitors is mounted to, which is an old TV that I got from a hotel. They were redoing all their TVs. They were giving them away. I went up there and helped them remove 4 or 5 of them. They gave me one of them. So, it was a win. But it works as a TV monitor, because most of your hotel TVs are made to pick up on computers for people who are there doing business. This right here, which is the AV cabinet that it's sitting on, that was being thrown away, and it's an old AV cabinet from schools. It had the 3 shelves. I put the strip down there at the bottom so I could plug my items into. I put a shelf on it for my keyboard, and so that when I'm doing my videos and editing my videos, it gives me plenty of space here on top to do that and accumulate all my junk. Every shelf always seems to accumulate junk for some reason. But get yourself some sort of media source, because if you're going to do this online, you got to have a place for a computer. You got to have a way to get it uploaded. You can do it on your phone, and a lot of people do, but I utilize a computer. I have CapCut on there, and I utilize CapCut to edit my videos before I put them in there. It took me a while to learn how to do that. Some of the earlier videos, you'll notice there's a lot of squeaky sounds. That's because I was using a microphone on my camera, and every time I moved my camera, that sound would transfer up through there into that microphone. So I finally got an off microphone. That way you don't have to listen to all that squeaky noise. Lessons learned. You're always learning something new all the time. Okay. I got an alternate monitor over here, which allows me to monitor stuff that's online on one monitor and have my reference photos up on another. And then I can, if I need to expand a certain area to get a little more insight on details for that one particular thing, I can do that. But these are some of the things that you can look into for your art studio. That is more expensive. I would say if you're just starting out, just do it. You can do photographs. If you have your reference photos, you can bring your reference photos up. You can put them up next to your painting, drawing, and you can utilize those just with your eyes to get a feel of what it is that you need. You don't have to have a computer. It is a lot easier, in my opinion, to have one, but it's not a necessary. Lighting. Now, you'll notice that I have 2 lights up here. Lighting is very much important if you're going to be into doing art. Too much light, you're going to be drawing or painting too dark, because what affects your eyes will affect what you think your paint should be. These 2 strips came from Walmart, $20 each. They're 15,000 lumen. Okay, you have to have the right lumen to be able to do art effectively. I also use some studio lights when I'm recording. I don't have them on now simply because I'm not close enough over to them. They're not expensive ones. They're just smaller ones, just enough to aid to get rid of some shadows. You also want to make sure that you're, like for me, you can't tell it, but I've actually got paper wrapped over those lights to help cut down some of that glare when I'm painting. It still provides the light, It just doesn't overpower my painting. Uh, what else can I tell you for starting up a studio? Bring your imagination. The most important thing. Don't give up. I've seen a lot of people who first started to get into art, they put something out and they say, oh, that's terrible. And then they just give up because they think they're no good. Nobody becomes good at this unless they practice. I try to do this a couple hours a day. Okay. Last couple of days I haven't been able to because we've had too many family things to do. But in general, 2 hours of painting a day helps me keep my skills sharp and helps me develop better skills. And sometimes when I think I'm only going to do it 2 hours, I'll get lost in it, and then I'm 4 or 5 hours later. But I mean, that's the beauty of art, and that's the beauty of keeping your sanity and your stress down. You get into something, you lose all track of time, all those worries and everything goes away, and it has multiple benefits. Uh, Especially like me, going into retirement, this is my hobby, this is my passion. Uh, it's what I've been into all my life. Uh, I'm not going to have any problem being out here quite a bit to do that. Now, I don't have the perfect setup in this studio. I do have this old window air conditioner. Now, when it gets too hot out here, I'm going to have that on and we're going to hear that air conditioning noise kicking on and off. It's a nasty but necessary, and it'll happen. But this room is insulated. I put the walls up myself, put the insulation in myself, but it will make noise. So just remember that if you're trying to find an area to do your studio and you're trying to get the best sound quality, okay, this old clunker makes noise. It's not real bad, but it makes noise. But you just got to take it into account. Anything else that's around you, you got to take into account. If you're in your house, the sounds are dampened down a lot. You don't want to be playing some oddball show on TV or anything like that. Some things you can't help. If you got family, you got kids, grandkids, and they're running around, you're going to hear them. Uh, just be mindful of the area that you want to put yourself into. That's pretty basically it. We'll go into more details about this. If you have any questions, uh, specific questions that you want answered about starting up your own art studio and how to get it going, because you're not going to be registering it as a business to day one. Okay, you're going to have to start getting money rolling in before you can consider it a legitimate business if that's what you're looking for. If you're just looking for a place to do your art that is yours and that's it, then you don't have to worry about that. If you're trying to turn it into a business, there are a lot of steps to go into creating your LLC and getting your business registered and getting your numbers and then paying your taxes. That is not where I'm at. This is not why I do this. Uh, I'm not trying to bring people into my driveway to come in here and take a look around. I'm not afraid of people to do that. It's just that I'm not ready to be registered as a business at my house. But there are steps for that, and we can go over that at some point in time. Uh, make sure that you have the proper amount of time allotted. You can do this step by step, piece by piece. You don't have to rush it. I didn't rush mine. I mean, like I said, I've been in this house for 20 years and I'm still improving on this studio. I started building this out probably 3 months after we moved here, and I'm still not done with it. Go figure. It just evolves as we go along, and it's fun to see. It's fun to do. Uh, I've got a lot of stuff in here. I've got a TV hanging up over here that I can turn on while I'm painting if I want. I can listen to music. I can listen to my news reports. Uh, I can watch YouTube videos on it, you know. But I have Wi-Fi out here. I have Wi-Fi at my house, and I use the extension to get out here for all the stuff that I do out here. It's quiet. It keeps me from disturbing anything that my wife has done. I don't want to have to say, can you turn that off so I can do what I'm doing? That would not be fair to my wife. So having this place is a good thing. Now in the wintertime, when it gets cold out here, because I don't have proper heating out here either, I tend to move some of my stuff into the basement. I've got a basement room that's not being utilized, and I'll do a temporary setup in there in the wintertime to do some studio activities. I do still have to come back out here because I'm not transporting all this stuff back and forth. I do some artwork out there, and I'll make videos and I'll post them up. But it's a heated space, and it does get cold here. Eventually, I'll have a better heating system in here, and I won't need to do that. Excuse me. But I mean, it's that simple. Find your space. Get the starting objects that you need. If you're painting, get you a small easel, get you some small canvases. Find your what reference photo you want to use. You can find all kinds of free artist reference photos on Facebook. There's a bunch of different groups that do that, and all those artists will allow you, photographers will allow you to use those as reference photos. It's always a good thing to indicate where you got your reference photo from. They deserve credit too. They're artists as well. But utilize what you need to do to get it onto your canvas or your board, and then just go in and you watch me block this one in, do the basic block in of what you're doing. If it's a pencil drawing, then you just start with your with one area with lighter shades. There's a lot of things about pencil drawing. It goes a little more into that, trying to keep you from rubbing your hands all over it, that type deal. But in painting, simply get your easel, get your paints, get your brushes, your cleaning materials, lots of rags. Uh, Pay attention to your reference photo for what you're wanting to do. Make the changes you want to change, and have a blast. This is about enjoying yourself. It's not a chore. If it's a chore, you won't do it. You have to be passionate about what you're doing. If it's something that you feel like you got a passion for, give it a shot. If it's something that appeases you, keep doing it. Uh, keep going. You know, no one out here is going to be the next Picasso in 2 weeks. You know, what does it take to be a master of art? 9 times out of 10, it takes your death to be the master of an art. And you have to invent a new style, and you have to have a sorted history. You notice every artist that's ever been throughout, when I took art history, they've all had some quirky background. They've all had some strange thing that they just happened to get into and it took off. You never know when that's going to be. But I would suggest that you find what kind of subjects that you really love to do. Me, it's animals. Okay, I do landscapes. Most times it's got animals in it. Uh, but I really do love doing animals, and especially Kentucky wildlife. And you're going to see a lot more of that because that's what I usually specialize in, is doing Kentucky wildlife. Yeah, I've done bobcat, I've done an eagle, I've done an elk, I've done blue jay. the Kentucky State Bird, the Cardinal. Uh, I've done one of the lions that was from the Louisville Zoo. Uh, I mean, it's endless what you can pick from. I've done pictures of bulls, cows, uh, the rabbits that run around my yard, uh, the rabbits across the street. Because I did a rather large painting of it's called Tortoise and Hares, and it's over at my neighbor across the street. They got a lot of nice landscaping, and it just so happened those two rabbits were just in there right next to that concrete tortoise. I took a picture of it, and I utilized that to make the painting. And it. I just figured it played on that old tortoise and hare story, and I thought, that's something I needed to do. But you got to be passionate about what you're doing. You got to like your subject. I have done commissions that I just wanted to do the right thing for the people who commission them. And you got to be able to be disciplined enough to do that. But if you start off with what you like to do, that you can put your passion into and develop your skills, you might find that you're one of those people that just absolutely excels at it. Okay. So it's like me. I mean, I started off drawing when I was 8 years old. When I got into grade school, I drew some pictures in class for grades, and at the end of the year when you're supposed to get everything back, some of mine came up missing. The teacher came up to me, I think it was 10 years later, and told me that she still has those drawings. I didn't know that she's the one who took them. I don't care, but it's just nice knowing that somebody really appreciated my art even back then. When I was a junior in high school, I entered the Scholastics art competition, going up against all high school students across the nation in an art competition. And my category was mixed media. It was colored pencil, and I used a different kind of board to do my colored pencil drawing on. Never thought it would do anything. No Kentucky uh, or Kentucky public school student had ever won anything in this competition. I ended up getting honorable mention. That's fourth place for that category. Out of 500,000 entries, I got fourth place. And I got a big honors for that. And then when I went to college, we had a college art competition. It was all the colleges across the state of Virginia, because that's where I went to college at, was in Virginia. And they have this big competition about art, and you can win first, second, or third prize. The top prize was called President's Purchase. Well, the dean of my art school told everybody, said, I don't want to see anybody do any pictures of barns. So that's been done to death. So I said, challenge accepted. So I went out and got me a picture of an old barn. I did a huge pen and ink drawing of this old barn, and I had it framed and everything. I took it to the competition, and he was livid that I had actually presented this as my entry. Well, he ended up winning the President's Purchase Award and was hung in the college across the hallway from my art dean's office for 3 years. And I love that poetic justice. But you can do what you want. You can put your mind to anything, and you can fulfill your dreams this way. My dream is to keep myself occupied, keep my mind fresh through my retirement, and to show people some techniques and everything that I can while I'm doing this. But you can get to that same point, but you got to have a starting point. And that starting point is find yourself a space, get the few limited materials that you need to start. Uh, and I'll go into another video and I'll give you some sources where you can look up art supplies. You can get some at some places, some at others, and There's some online stores like Dick Blick that you can look into, and you can get discounts and stuff through, and they ship all that stuff to you. Uh, but it's just whatever your imagination, restricts you to. If you don't want to restrict your imagination, you have no limits. You can do a line and make it, you know, total silver with gold eyes. All that stuff is up to you what you want to do. Your imagination or how much you want to put into it. I'm a perfectionist when it comes to a lot of things, to a fault. I do like to get details of my animals, so it's like when on this one, you'll see a whole lot more details going into the lion. Okay, but it's because I'm a realistic painter. You don't have to be realistic. You can whatever style you want. Just push it. Push the limits. That's what art is for. I've seen a lady in Tokyo. She makes oh $15,000-$20,000 of painting, and all she thinks she did was take one color and a huge canvas. I'm talking a hand stretched canvas, probably 5 foot by 6 foot. She dips it down in some one color paint. She puts it on the canvas. She makes a swirl, and she's done. Now she has sold a ton of these for businesses, and that's how she wants to do her art. Okay, there is no limits. So you just got to get started. If you have any questions about it, if you have anything that you want to follow up with, just leave me a message on here, or you can send me an email at artbyno66@gmail.com, or you can go on the Facebook uh, as well, and you look up Doug No or Art by No on Facebook. I've got two Facebook pages, and then you can send me a message there. I'm on uh, Instagram. I'm on TikTok. Wherever that you go to, you can put your queries in, and it may not be expedient in reply because I don't check all the messages all the time. I try to check them all as much as I can, and then I reply. Okay, so please, feel free to send that out. But this is Knows Kentucky Heartland Art because that's who I am. I'm all about the Kentucky Heartland. Okay, just you can look for me almost any place at Art by No, all one word, and you should be able to find me. Okay, I'm more than happy to help with anybody, any advice, any questions. If I've got the answer, I'll give it to you. If not, I will look into it and see if I can't find the answer, and I'll help you come up with the answer. That's the best I can do. But I appreciate you being in here. I hope this information might have been helpful in some way or another. So do me a favor, if you can, to help get this to other people, please like and subscribe. It helps to get out to more people. And then, you know, boost the post. Send it to people that you know that might be interested in doing this, and see if they, there's any way that I can help them to get them spun up on it. But it's always good to have something that you just absolutely love to get yourself into, especially if you know somebody's it's going into retirement like I am, trying to find something to occupy their time with. If you're worried about them not having anything to do, if you know that they like art, it may be something they haven't thought of. Send it to them. Maybe some of the stuff that's in my channel will help them realize this will help them maintain their mental clarity and take down the stress throughout those retirement years. Okay. But I thank you for being here. And I'll say it again. God bless you. May He keep you. May He give you everything that you could possibly need and some wants along the way. Thank you for tuning in to Knows Kentucky Heartland Art. Okay. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.